My name is Ramon Contreras. I'm a democratic strategist and civic leader, advocating for the right for young people to vote and also electing young people into office across the country. That's a good question. I was born in the South Bronx and I moved to Harlem when I was about 5, 6 years old. And growing up, I grew up with a single mother and two older sisters. So seeing my mother work hard and provide for me and my siblings was inspiring and motivating. I grew up in public housing. So, while the building I grew up in and the resources that were available to us wasn't a lot, there was still a lot of community and love where I grew up. And also I had to face the reality of, what it's like to grow up in a community that's underserved very quickly. My childhood is a mix of understanding the importance of community through adversity and also understanding the reality of what it's like to live in communities that are financially burdened. Of course, Youth Over Guns is an organization that was dedicated to combating gun violence in Black and Latino communities. It was founded in the wake of the gun violence youth movement in America in 2018, after a series of mass shootings impacting young people were making it to the national media. I believed, especially after losing a friend in my senior year of high school to gun violence, who was shot and killed with an illegal handgun, that the gun violence happening in Black and Latino communities had to be at the forefront of the gun violence movement. So I started Youth Over Guns with the idea of creating a platform for young Black and Latino advocates to have a space where they can voice their solutions, where they can voice their opinions on this matter, and join other young people across the country in this movement to end gun violence in America. Afro-Latinos Latinos in general are one of the fastest growing population in the United States. And this is the time for a lot of Latinos to start voicing their opinions on policy, on politics, and things that impact our communities. I've been fortunate enough to be able to work in some incredible spaces, but the truth is there's not many young Latinos, specifically Afro-Latinos, in these spaces, and we still have a lot of work to do. Our voices matter. Our voices are vital for not just our communities, but our country moving forward. Regarding safety, a lot of Latinos are living in communities that are underserved, where violence is more prevalent. We need to start voicing our opinions, right, on laws that keep us safe, on resources that are invested in our young people so they have opportunities to go to college and get a job. I can't do this work without, being very aware of where I come from and who I am, because there's so many people like us who are still looking for an opportunity to have a voice, to have a platform. And ultimately, that is what the work is about. It's about creating a path and a bridge to make sure that you're not the only one speaking up, but you're inspiring others to also take a bold risk in voicing something that they care about in hopes that they can change their community or their country. I know that we hear this cliche line all the time that our voice matters, but it's true. Lawmakers respond to pressure. When people speak out, when people are demanding that something changes in their community and in their country, lawmakers listen. I spent a lot of time working on political campaigns and helping elect young people. And ultimately, politics is a game of money and electing folks into office. And a lot of times, unfortunately, the candidate with the most money is the candidate that usually wins. A lot of times when we're activated, when we're paying attention, when we're civically engaged, the biggest threat to a candidate with a lot of money that may not have the best interests in their district is a group of people that are civically engaged, that are actively listening and paying attention to what's happening, and are willing to voice their opinions and voice their demands on what they believe their community should look like. For me personally, my mother, I mentioned earlier that she raised me and my two older sisters in public housing. And to me, she is a champion of what working class Americans who are Latino, who are immigrants, often we don't pay enough attention to or praise enough. She has every reason to be angry at a country like America that has been tough on her being an immigrant. She's somebody who has faced a lot of adversity, but she has a deep commitment, to making sure that her family's okay. And ultimately, I think she had that opportunity here in America to make sure that her three kids went on to college and pursued their own dreams. And that sacrifice is something that, it's you can never repay. And for that, she's my role model. Notably, I guess in like the political and civic sphere, people like John Lewis has always been a role model of mine. He's one of the few people who were grassroots activists during one of the most vital times in our country, the civil rights movement, to be able to lead a mass of people to fight for their rights, to be able to have an impact on one of the largest pieces of legislation, the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act in our country, to then later become a member of Congress and help inspire the next generation of lawmakers, I think is an inspiring story and the story of America. And there's something about a story like his that can inspire communities like Latinos, communities like the API community, Muslims. His story is one of taking the worst part of America and turning it into a story where anything is possible and where people could come together from all different backgrounds to fight for civil rights. And I think many fights like the one he's fought are still ahead. And I think because of the lessons that he has shown us, I think we're in a better shape to fight them. So he's definitely someone I look to whenever I feel down, whenever I lose hope, because it happens to the best of us. He's someone who definitely reminds us of, the possibility of coming together and fighting for something meaningful.